How to repair show will start soon. Say your questions. Grab a drink. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready.
Good afternoon, all. A long day's drive, only a short distance. Don't drive the wild Atlantic way on a Sunday up at this part of the world when you've got this much traffic. Yeah, I just went up to the car park where one of the most beautiful beaches in this area is meant to exist. It took me 30 minutes to get people so they could move their vehicles just so I could turn around. There was no way I could fit in the car park. It was one of those dead end tracks. It looks like every man in Donegal area has come here to have a day at the beach. And you don't get that many in Ireland. The weather is superb. It's over 30 degrees. Now, before I take you out for a look, Jamil, can you pop the map up on the screen and I'll just show you where I am? Last night's pitch was fantastic. I wish I had time to stay there a lot longer. The map I wanted, mate, not your chilled out music. Always technical difficulties with Jamil. Give him his due. You've got the wrong one on. Okay, so if you change that to the road view, Jamil, it's a lot clearer to see. First one, I think it is. No, that's all terrain. Change it to maps. Yeah, that'll do. So, ooh, now where the heck are you there? Zoom out a bit. Okay, it's taken us on, right, zoom right out. Okay, so I came down the bottom. I think it is called, bear with me, Sligo is the name of the big town there. And this was Raleigh Point. It's a beautiful little harbour. I did a load of recording on there. For anyone that ever goes to Raleigh Point, which is the harbour out on the peninsula, if you start at the road map, just go to where the road map is. That is nearly an island. It's only a causeway that joins the mainland. It is a stunning location. You're nearly surrounded completely with the ocean. It's a tidal harbour, about 20, 30 fishing boats in there. Absolutely stunning location. I can't recommend it enough. But do be aware, make sure you consult your map system. You need to come in from the northwest side of the peninsula. Do not come in from the other side like I did. Otherwise, you'll end up in a bit of a pickle. Anyway, from there, I drove up. And as soon as I got to Lagley, I think it's called, or up that way, it really did. The traffic just piled on. I basically tried to go to the secret cave, secret waterfalls. No chance whatsoever. Car park full, and it was high tide, so you couldn't see it. Then I came down to the cliffs. That was mayhem as well. And I bailed out there at Sleeve Cliffs. Basically, the traffic is just, I can't emphasize it. It's absolutely sheer mayhem. Um, so I've abandoned the whole idea and I came right up the peninsula, and basically I came up to the Atlantic Way Discovery Point, which is on a beach called Silver Strand. Absolutely stunning location, but don't come here when there's tourists. Again, absolute mayhem. And the other bit of the map I've just put on there because I'm only about an hour and a half away from Barry. And he is in a, oh God, what's the name of his town? I can't see it. He is in Letterkenny. So really, I can get to Barry's at any point where I'll be doing a lot of appliance videos for you. But I really, because of the weather, we've got 4 days of glorious weather here in this part of Ireland. I am not abandoning Barry. I'm just leaving him to the latter part of the week, and we'll catch up for a drink and then do some work next week. And the reason being is it is glorious weather. I mean, it's in excess of 30 degrees. And sticking to the coast, I'm going to get the Atlantic breeze each evening, which means it'll be a bit cooler in the camper van. So I'm most probably going to go up to the finishing point, and that is right up at Malin Head, which is the very top of Ireland. And then I'll come down from Malin Head to Barry, which will only be a minute drive. So I'll be giving Barry a call on Monday to arrange times with him and everything else. But I'm going to stick to the coast route. So anyway, I did promise you a quick look out. I'll flick over on this, so just bear with me 1 second. And if I just flick over, okay, let's go outside. Lovely cool breeze. There's hardly any traffic where I am because I had to come out of the car park. And if I just come down here and flick the camera over for you. Oh, cars everywhere as usual. This is a lovely part of the world. The beach is down there somewhere. But it's a glorious day, glorious sunshine. Really is a very special part of the world when we have weather like this. And I imagine it's the one weekend in the year where they get weather like this. But the roads are fantastic. The traffic is the problem. I mean, there's not much here at the moment because I've come away from the car park is about half-mile up that direction. But you can see the other side today. If I zoom in, on that side of the water is where I came from. And you can just, in the distance there, and I can't zoom any more than that, just see the far side out there. And that was about, normally it should be 150, 200 kilometers, but that took me the best part of, crikey, 4.5 hours to drive. Google Maps said 2 hours, but it took me at least 4.5 hours. And of course, you've got cyclists everywhere as well. So anyway, let's go back in and answer your questions. Now, I'm going to have to move from here. Basically, I've found a couple of places about 20 minutes up the road that look like they'll be a bit quieter. And that means I will be able to get a park up for the night. I'm just switching over. Okay, so you've had a look around. What questions have we got? I haven't done any prep work today on emails or anything. I just have not had time, I'm sorry. So I'll have to deal with them on Monday. Upgrade or repair. What a great name. Upgrade or repair. Love it. From a repair point of view, are induction hobs worth the extra cost? Well, really, everything is going induction hob nowadays. I prefer cooking with gas when it comes to a hob, but that's my personal preference. I find induction hobs are are just as quick as gas really nowadays. Yes, you've got to buy special pans to go on them and everything else. Um, the radiant ring version, when I say radiant, about a radiant ring underneath the glass, which are normal ceramic hobs, are good. They're slower heating up. They both create a certain amount of heat on the hob anyway. The induction, really, you could take the pan off after running it for 10, 15 seconds and nearly touch the actual hob. Of course, the difference there is the energy is being done with like a magnetism, basically vibrating molecules and creating heat in the pan and everything. And that's what cooks the food. The normal ones are basically an element that heats the pan up through the glass. But my personal preference is gas. I do like cooking with gas. Simple reason, not saying I can cook, but I'm not bad. When you're flambeing something, I can actually use the flame to burn the brandy off or whatever in sauces and stuff like that. So for me, I actually prefer gas, but really speaking, induction hobs are not that expensive nowadays. What you've got to remember with all hobs that are the ceramic or the induction is if you ever damage the glass, it is pretty much a write-off. And because the glass far exceeds the cost of the hob, really, and the amount of work it would take to swap out. Well, it's not massive amount of work to swap out a glass because it comes with the frame normally. Um, but you know you are going to be on a £250 induction hob. I bet you the glass costs 200 quid. And then you've got the shipping and everything else, which will be expensive because of the nature of the product. So upgrade or repair, it's down to your preference of what you like cooking. Remember, if you buy induction, you are going to be buying new pans because aluminium pans will not work on there. You have to have induction hobs pans. And that usually means every saucepan, every frying pan in your cupboard has to be compatible with the induction hob. So I hope that answers your question. Next one. Lucasi, Lucasimo. I think I say that right. Good question on induction hobs there. Bring someone into electronics fault finding and repair. I also wonder if it is possible to buy spares for these things. Yes, it is possible to buy spares off certain manufacturers, but normally the way that the spares market works for these things, you'll have a couple of main driver boards, which are individual components, which will be sold, and then two burners or two heaters or two induction heaters will be sold together on a circuit board and then two on the other side. But some manufacturers only sell it as a complete unit. There are multiple variations of these, and it depends on the manufacturer. And again, the biggest problem with them are the circuit boards. With all cookers, I prefer to see selector switches and stuff like that, which are mechanical rather than circuit boards. But when it comes to an induction hob, there is no choice. It has to be circuit boards. So you're pretty stuffed there. My mother swore by her induction hob, and she was a 90-year-old when using it. Well, late 80s. Before she passed away, and she loved her induction hob. And it is down to your preference really at the end of the day. Next one. Hopefully I can fire through these today and have an early day, because sitting in this van at this temperature is a bit uncomfortable. Bosch washing machine E52 error code showing how to solve this problem. I don't think I've done E52. bear with me 1 second. Dee, 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 dee. God, how can I do that? I don't think I have done E52. I will have to put that on the list of things to do. And it depends on which washing machine, because the error may be one of those errors that show up on one model of machine and not on another machine. But I will put that on my list to do. I have, when I get to South Wales, I have two Bosch washing machines. The one I previously made some videos on, which I went through the error codes, but I don't think I did 52. And the I've got one brand new one which is arriving in a couple of weeks, which I'm doing some videos on as well. But you'll see all about them later. So I haven't got E52 up on my display to tell you what E52 is at the moment. Just bear with me. I'll see if I can quickly have a look. I've never been a great typer. Yeah, this is usually the motor control board. It's a motor related fault by the look of it. And it will depend on different models of the machine. Um, I would say normally this is a circuit board problem, because I have to give Bosch their due. I haven't seen too many failures on the motors. There has been some, but not large scale amounts. Predominantly, it is the driver board that causes the problem. So I will get round to doing a video on that, because I have repaired a couple of boards on machines which are about 7, 8 years old, which have had dry joints predominantly on the actual circuit board. So I will do a video on that at a later stage. Okay, bring up the next one. Appliance Shopper UK, good afternoon to you. I haven't seen your name before. Do you think double ovens are worth it for most people, or do they just add more things to go? No, I mean, look, I have a double oven. I would never, unless I had a small kitchen, I would always have a double oven. And the reason being is I might have the roast in one oven on a Sunday, but I want to do cauliflower cheese or something like that. And I have the secondary oven to basically cook other items in. It's also nice to have as a warming drawer if you turn it onto the lowest setting while you're actually cooking your normal food that you do in the week. It is, what I would say, the most important thing to consider when buying a double oven: try to buy one with selector switches and thermostats. Do not buy one with a circuit board in it, because there has been quite a few problems where these things are failing after a period of time. And you must remember, the oven itself gets up to 250, 300 degrees. So the cavity above the oven, where the circuit board is normally fitted, before the external part. So you've got the inner oven part here, then you've got the outer oven part here, and in that cavity will live the circuit board, and it will be on the external side to the insulation. I would imagine temperatures get in excess of 130, 140 degrees in this cavity. And this is when circuit boards do not like exceedingly high temperatures. And, I have come across a lot of double ovens, single ovens, where the printed circuit board has failed. I much prefer selector switches and thermostats. Again, it's manufacturers overcomplicating things. You know, good selector switches like Gotak, even EGO build good selector switches. These things, if used correctly, will go on for 20, 30 years. Thermostats very rarely fail, unless you damage the capillary tube that goes down into the oven. But the circuit boards are a totally different kettle of fish. And one thing to always remember whenever using an oven, and I haven't said this in any of the shows, I have said it on many videos in the past: never turn the thermostat on first and then turn the selector switch. you should always turn the selector switch to the program that you require, whether it's using the fan oven element, the base element, and the grill element, because if you turn the thermostat on, you are putting although the circuit is not created because the selector switch hasn't been set, the arcing will take place on the selector switch points. So if you turn the thermostat on and then start clicking the selector switches on the points which open and shut on the switch, as they make contact, they will arc like a welding rod. And this eventually burns out the selector switches. One thing I've always been amazed with, in the manuals, they never show you, and I have done a video on this. There is one on the site about how to use an oven correctly. And it's to do with selector switches and thermostats. So let me explain once and for all here. You should always turn the selector switch to the position that you require, then turn the thermostat to the temperature that you require, and let the thing cook. You can adjust the thermostat at any point. For example, if you were doing beef, you might have it up on 300 degrees for the first 10-15 minutes to brown the outside of the joint, and then you would turn it down to 120, 150 degrees for cooking it for a long period of time. If you have the thermostat on and you decide, oh, I now want to change from fan oven to the combination of grill and base element, you are going to cause contacts, burning on the selector switch. And when turning the oven off, you should always turn the thermostat to 0 first, then turn the selector switch to the off position. This way, you'll never do any damage on the selector switch, because believe it or not, most cookers fail either due to age, and it's very rare I ever say that, because cookers will last a long time if looked after correctly, but it's usually they just get so dirty, something fails, and someone decides to have a nice new oven. When it comes to mechanical failings on oven, a lot of people throw perfectly good ovens out because one element has actually gone open circuit and they don't realize, or the selector switch has failed, or possibly even the timer has failed. But, and fan motors do go as well. But predominantly damage is done. The most common fault for writing a cooker off is usually people don't realize the selector switch has burned out and just needs replacing. But I'm more for thermostats and selector switches than I am for circuit boards. So I hope that helps you, appliance shopper. Next one, please, mate. This is Calix. Good afternoon to you. I take it your name's Calix. Are there any dishwasher brands you think are usually a better long-term bet because parts are easier to get? Normally, look, most people are a little bit frightened of repairing dishwashers. And the reason I say this is sometimes if you've got components at the bottom of the machine, like the pump, the motor, the heating system, and many other sensors, they're not that easy to work on compared to a washing machine. You have to strip half the machine apart before getting to these components. What I would say to you, if you are going to buy a new dishwasher, I normally criticize the hell out of Bosch. They do build pretty good dishwashers. It's most of the dishwasher manufacturers are reasonably good. What I would suggest is always buy a machine that the company is willing to give you a 5-year parts and labor. This is very important because with your money and everyone else's money, if we change the way we shop and stop allowing these small companies, or not small companies, these companies in the UK that are only giving a 12-month guarantee on appliances, they're going to have to pull their socks up and start producing something better, because a lot of machines which have only got a 12-month warranty are lasting 3 to 5 years and they're going wrong. And with a dishwasher, is either the main motor fails. This is the distribution motor that circulates the blades inside the dishwasher, or the printed circuit board fails. If either of those fail, you start to scratch your head and say, I think I'm going to get a new dishwasher rather than going to the expense of X, Y, and Z. But small components like the heating element, the drain pump, or, any other of the internal components inside the dishwasher are not that expensive, but they are more difficult to work on than washing machines. Let me just get a drink here while Jamil brings up the next one, because my mouth is getting dry. Alex again. Do you see enough difference between entry level and premium brands dishwashers, or justify the again, I'm going to go for the 5-year guarantee bit. I said, um, you know, I have seen some very cheap hot point dishwashers, Beco dishwashers, which are very good machines. I'm not criticizing at them at all, but it's because the manufacturer only puts a 12-month warranty on it. I try to steer people to spend a little bit more, and you're only talking 50 to £100 more, but getting a dishwasher with a 5-year parts and labour guarantee. What you must remember, Calix, is it's a disgraceful world we live in. That same appliance that you may buy from Curry's, AO, Marks Electrical, or whoever else, that same appliance you buy in Britain comes with a 12-month guarantee. But the same appliance in Europe comes with a 2-year parts and labour guarantee, because the EU forces these companies into the minimum level of 2-year guarantee. For some unknown reason, our politicians don't follow suit, and they allow these companies to abuse you, which is basically all the stuff I teach about obsolescence and how crooked this industry is. So take your time, and another great thing to do, Calix, is go and find the dishwasher that you want. And once you've found it, don't buy it there and then. Have a look online at how much the spare parts are for that machine. That will normally give you an indication whether the manufacturer is trying to rip you off long term. Because if you see that your dishwasher, let's say, for example, a Bosch dishwasher is £450, and you go onto their website and you see the circuit board is priced at £290, you know they are deliberately going out their way building obsolescence into the machine, because those circuit boards that are in the machine only cost the manufacturer, once they've designed it and everything else, to actually produce those circuit boards are no more than £10-20, but they charge extortionate levels for them. So do your homework beforehand. And by all means, send me a few models via the website which you are interested in buying. I'll have a look at the schematics for you. And I can't, I'm not going to say to you, go buy this, go buy that, because if it goes wrong in 2 years' time, you'll be pointing the finger at this mug. So if you buy something with a 5-year guarantee, you've got, the reassurance that you're not going to have to put your hand in your pocket for 5 years. I hope that helps you, Calix. Next one. Washer Lad, good afternoon to you, sir. Hey, mate, I recently got a Samsung WW11BGA 046AE with a dodgy PCB covered in silicon, I imagine. PCB, and I can't figure out and the bearings have collapsed. Well, look, that's if you've got the PCB, is dodgy, and you're going to have to strip down the machine and rebuild it for the bearings, although it's got a splittable drum, and you want to take close inspection on the Spider when you do that. But if you use that model number, and have a look on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Even if you park that machine in your garage and don't touch it for, let's say, 3, 4 weeks, and you do a search in eBay and Facebook Marketplace, I've said this many times. If you go to Facebook, logged in on your account, um, Gumtree in the UK is another one, eBay, there is a button on the page if you are logged in. And once you do a search, there's a little button there that's called Save Search, and it will email you automatically when one of these come up. And this way you could park that machine up for a while, and you may find someone is selling a complete machine for 20, 30 pounds with a burnt out motor. So, it's a cheap fix when you find a machine for 20, 30 pounds, because you can rob Charlie to make Peter better, as they say. Well, if the cabinet's in bad condition, look, there is an economic level that you are willing to go to on an appliance. If it's only going to cost you 50 to 70 pounds to repair it in components, I'm all for repairing every machine. But when the cost goes above 130, 140 pounds, then you've got to consider, are you better off buying a new machine? Because with a new machine, or even a second-hand machine, you've still got on that machine loads of spare parts which would assist other people, even if you just wanted to sell the components. Let me give you an example of this. The rubber hoses on the machine are worth £5 to £10 each second hand. The door, you may get 30 to £40 for that machine, the door, the complete door with the hinge. The soap drawer assembly, you could get £20 for that. You will not believe the amount of appliances that have broken components because of children hanging off doors and breaking them, people heavy-handed with a soap drawer. And you've got many components on that machine, the pump, the heating system, which are all spare parts which would assist other people in the future for repairing their machines. And people are becoming much more intelligent and much wiser with regards repairing machines, and realizing that there's channels like myself and many other channels on YouTube assisting people in diagnosing the problem and fixing the problems on their machine. Now, I'm going to have to flick off Zoom a second for two seconds, because my normal problem has occurred where I've only got 4 minutes left on the account. Although I'm paying damn Zoom, I can never work out what's going wrong here. And I'll just quickly jump onto Ecamm. So just bear with me 2 seconds while I take a break. So this happens every day. I have to connect up Zoom so I can show you outside, but it does allow me to switch back easily onto the show. Um, okay, can we have the next one, please, mate? Idris, good afternoon to you, sir. User manuals don't explain a lot of things. User manuals, no. Problem being is I have access through friends in the business, and also a lot. I have accounts with certain companies as well. And for example, Bosch and Siemens, I have access to their workshop manuals, wiring diagrams, and a lot of other information. They are brilliant at producing all the stuff, but written at the bottom of the manual is writing which is there to scaremonger every engineer from not helping individuals, because they would sue your ass if you started distributing. It's all right helping someone and talking to them. It's even okay possibly to share a document when you're trying to assist someone. Yeah. But if you made it public on the internet, the manufacturers would really go to town on me. And this is why it's a disgrace. We need laws in place to stop these if they are producing a machine. I don't know how many of you that watch this show, do you realize when you bought a Ford Cortina, a Metro, a Mini, or any of these vehicles 30, 40 years ago, you could go into Halfords or the car accessory shop and buy a Haynes manual for that vehicle. It would show you how to take things apart. It would show you the wiring diagrams. There would be a load of documentation listing all the spare parts. Well, this has all been taken from us because manufacturers now only care about their shareholders. They only care about making money out of you. And because they have achieved what they've wanted to do for the last 40 odd years, which is buy up all the small companies and just have large conglomerate companies, multinationals. And there's only maybe in the domestic appliance business between 5 and 8, say, large multinationals. They own 99% of the business in the UK. Well, they are dividing that up between, if you consider Britain consumes 3.5 million fridge freezers a year, 3.5 million washing machines per year. This is humongous amounts of money. It's as big as the car if not bigger than the car industry. At least cars last 10 years, but they're trying to drive that down. Some of the first vans I ever bought lasted me 20 years. You go and buy a Ford Transit today and see how long it lasts you. They're not built anywhere near the same. And Ford Transits, for example, huge problems with these wet belts, which is the timing belt now being built into the engine itself. And the particles of fiber that come off the belt clog up the oil systems if you don't maintain it and change the oil and change the belt regularly. But it's all designed for the money to go to the manufacturers and obsolescence to be built into the machines. It's just a ludicrous world we live in where they think, how come people like SpaceX and the other space programs build rockets which are to be reusable because they don't want to waste materials, but yet the rest of the world has to replace things that used to last 35 to 40 years. People are having to replace it every 5 years now. And it's all about the money. It's a ludicrous world we live in. And I'm so glad I don't have kids because I'd be worried sick about them being brought up in this environment today. Anyway, end of politics. Move on. I don't know how to pronounce that. Good afternoon to you. I'm going to leave it at that. Indeset IWD 7145 2012 F1 error message when moving to the next wash cycle with wash programs. Ran tests and instantly gave F01. No fill or anything. Carbon brushes still 1.5 inches. Any thoughts? Firstly, is the door lock activating the problem? I'm going to see if I can find this quickly. Just bear with me. Let me see what I can find on this for you. I shouldn't be doing this on a live show. I should ask you to send the message in via the website. Right, from what I can see just briefly, F01 indicates a motor fault or possibly PCB fault. If the PCB is not starting the machine, it could be a printed circuit board. You've said that the carbon brushes are good on the machine. It is possible. The circuit board on those are, as you look at the machine, in the bottom right-hand side of the machine. If I recall, you will need to disconnect from the machine from the electricity supply, take the back plate off, and there will be one or two screws on the left-hand side looking from the back which you'll need to undo, and possibly a clip at the base of the machine. And this will allow you to remove the circuit board. Once you've got it to the back of the machine, you will be able to unplug the connectors, but do note where they're coming from. And I always say take pictures. It's in a white casing. Now, once you've got the circuit board out, it is worth taking the actual circuit board out of the white casing and inspecting the circuit board, because those Indeset boards, it's very common for them to have a dry joint, possibly a triac which has failed on the circuit board, or even a resistor or diodes. But if you've got to replace it, I can assure you that you will be able to find one. I'm just looking to see what I can find for you. Bear with me 1 millisecond, because as you know, we've got lots of partners on the website who are now starting to dismantle machines. And I can't see that anyone has listed a circuit board on our site at the moment. Let me just have a look at a couple of marketplaces for you. You will need to use your full model number and double check, because these Indeset and Hotpoint circuit boards are programmed for individual models of machines. So just bear with me 1 second. Right, there's a couple of people on eBay that has got some stuff on there. There's one guy that's got a board for your machine, I believe, at 60 quid, and it says free programming. And what he means with free programming is he is willing to load the software onto the circuit board that you require. That's not a bad price, mate. And it's only £3 delivery. You will find secondhand. I found another circuit board for your model of machine. It came off one that was S after your model number. And matter of fact, this is so cheap. Let me just read and make sure that he does things. Images show Indesets as the main control board, specifically for the model. Part number also referred to a module. Right, read this. I'm going to pass you the eBay link in the chat. Okay. Oh God, it won't let me put the eBay link because it's too long. Just go to eBay and look for this item number. Let me see if I can find it 1 second. Why do eBay always make things so complicated? The link's too long to put in the description. So let me Control A, Control V. That looks like it's the PCB that I've put in the chat for your washing machine. I haven't got one in secondhand in stock at the moment, but just use your model number and make sure it's programmed for your machine, and that should help you. Okay. Or even send the guy an email and say, look, I've got an IWD 7145, whatever letter you've got. I imagine it's W after your, if it's a white machine, S is for silver, B is for black. But these circuit boards will pretty much fit all of those machines I mentioned. So check that. That might be a bargain for you and able to keep your machine going. And also keep an eye open for someone selling the machine, because a lot of these Indeset machines, 12 years old, might have collapsed bearings or something if it's been used on a regular basis. And this might help you. Okay. If we had one, I'd be happy to help you. Next one. Washer lad, good afternoon. I'm the kind of one where I get one of these type machines with bearings and spider issues. I will smash it a bit, keep everything good in condition as spare part. Yeah, well, look, this is recycling correctly. And, you know, by all means, I don't know where you are. Send us an email at some point if you are interested in, you know, listing stuff on our website. And we are going to be doing this overseas in the future. Just at the moment, we're trying to get everything working perfectly on the website. Jamil, who's hosting the show, has had lots of sleepless nights programming, uploading the new search parameters that we've managed to create that searches for FAQ, repair guides, and spare parts. It's a highly complicated progression on the website when you start to deal with very large amounts of data. And if you consider that the washing machine industry is somewhere in the region of 1 million spare parts to cover the whole industry, so it's a huge amount of data, and we've got to get it right to make sure that the website functions for you lot correctly. Okay, next one. Vito M, good afternoon to you. Just to answer your question, back in episode 25, I sent in a question about a 2016 Siemens IQ 500. I've watched Australian. I do vaguely remember it. I removed the lid, and it does have a splittable drum. Thank you very much for the information. You've got to remember that these comments that you leave here are going to be searchable with AI and also Google search. So if someone is trying to find out this information in the future, by you going to the effort and posting this information in, may benefit other people in the future. Yeah, so that's quite interesting. It's 2016 and it has a splittable drum. But it is 10 years old now, so it might have been the very last Australian series to have a splittable drum. But it's although you lot are all English, same as us. When I say English speakers, God, I'd get a slap round the face for that one in Australia. It is different marketplace. And the manufacturers, I know for a fact that some machines in Europe that have sealed drums, the models that they sell in Africa don't have sealed drums, because I'm pretty sure none of them are going to accept it. Labor is cheap in Africa, very cheap. And this means people will go to the effort of doing jobs like rebuilding the machine over the course of 12 hours, because labor is so cheap. A bricklayer out in Morocco, for example, I had no idea that they only get paid £5 a day. A quality carpenter that carves all the doors out there was working for a friend of mine who was building a house, and he only got equivalent £12 a day, and he was a master craftsman, and his carpentry was second to none. But that's you can live very comfortably on £12 a day, live like a king, to be honest. But it's a different world. Over here, time is money, as they say. Okay, so next one. Your site is very interesting and easy to use. Well, you've got to thank Jamil for this. I'm not the IT guy. I get the idea of what you not need and how to search for stuff. Jamil's background is he comes from Shopify. He was a Shopify developer, and we became friends maybe, how long? Oh, excuse the French. Jamil, what is it, 3 years now?
Yeah, I think it's minimum 3 years. Minimum.
Commiserations, mate. Commiserations for knowing me that long. Yeah, so basically, Jamil's business with Shopify was quietening up. I hope you don't mind me saying this, Jamil. And, he saw the potential of what I do for a living, which is the power of YouTube videos. It took me 20 years to get to that plaque I've got on the wall behind me. And in the last year and a half, I've gone from 100,000 subscribers to over 300,000 subscribers. And that's just on one channel. I have an additional channel in a different language. But it's doing this correctly and serving the general public correctly. I'm never going to be rich overnight. but I'm going to build a business that's just sustainable. And that's what I'm after, is not just flash in the pan customers, sell them something and don't look after them. It was like Tom's business down in County Clare. He'd been doing it since 1968. He's a legend down there. He's the only guy in his community. Everyone respects him. Everyone, even if he hasn't got a second-hand appliance, they'll go on a waiting list because they can't afford a new one or whatever. And people are willing. This is community supporting a business and a business supporting a community. These multinationals now used to work in the way that they would build quality and supply the community with good quality products. But all they give a shit about nowadays is the money. And they have got to the point where people like myself have to be vocal about it because it is blatant highway robbery. And the government works in conjunction with these companies, because just imagine how much tax is raised each year when you consider 3.5 million washing machines in England are sold every year. 3.5 million fridge freezers are sold every year. The minimum price on those 7 million items are around £300. Then take 20% VAT. That's a lot of revenue the government raises just on 2 products. Yeah. So anyway, get back off politics and answer these questions. Likes his clean clothes. Good afternoon to you. What would you recommend, standard washer or commercial? Well, if you've got the money, I'd go commercial. I wanted a Samsung 18 kilo washer dryer. No, don't bother. But it won't fit through the front door. Well, you're going to have a different problem if it's a commercial machine. Commercial machines are quite big as well. They're not your standard 600s unless you go for the Electrolux, the ones they designed for the student market and nursing homes and stuff like that, small machines. You may have to the great thing about getting let's say an Ipso or Maytag commercial washer into your house, if you've got that much laundry that needs doing, once you've got it in, you won't be removing it for 25 years. I mean, they will, everything about them has got serviceability in mind, because these things go into laundries, commercial properties, nursing homes, many different situations. I do like the Speed Queen. If you can get hold of the American Speed Queens, they did sell some in the UK, and they were great machines as well. They did 2 versions. They did a front loading, but the drum sat at a slight angle, and this took the weight of the clothing off the actual bearing shaft and off the bearings in a way, because they tilted the drum at an angle, and it was a very, very good machine. I forget the model of them, and they also did some cracking top loaders as well. I mean, you only have to go onto the American forums to see how much the American public really do appreciate the Speed Queen stuff. Great machines. But anyway, it depends on your usage and everything. If we are out of the EU, why do washers have 40/60 program? If we are out of the EU, I have no idea. I don't know which legislation we are out of Europe with regards certain commodities, but certain things we are still part of the European Union with. What you're quoting me there, I haven't got in context. By all means, send me an email. I'll have a telephone call conversation with you so you can explain it properly. Just go to the website, fill it in, make sure you put your name in that you've got there, so I know who you are in the subtitle for the email, and I'll quite happily give you a call on this, mate. I take it it's a bloke. So sorry, I assume too much on occasions. Nick Boyd guitar. The capacitor has gone on my Candy Grand tumble dryer condenser. Model number is it at Yes, it is, but they are a bloody nightmare. You are able to access the capacitor just if you know what you're doing. I have done a video. You need to have a look for Hoover or Candy tumbled wires, how to replace the capacitor or motor not turning. It'll be under some title like that. You will have to take the front panel off the machine because you have no accessibility from the rear or sides. This was a really badly designed cabinet. I have known so many engineers say to customers, and even Tom brought this up in a week ago when I was in West Clare, County Clare. And he said to the customer, do you want the cheap fix? Or on one occasion, do you want the cheap fix or the expensive fix? And the customer was like, what do you mean? He said, well, I can cut a hole in the side of the machine here and gives me access to the capacitor and I don't have to strip the machine down. Or you can have the expensive fix and I'll take it apart correctly. I think the customer had it taken apart correctly, but they have put the motor, belt and capacitor in a ludicrous place, which is very hard to get accessibility. But what I will say, Nick, to be honest, I would take the drum out of the machine and do the job correctly, because you're going to be able to get an airline and a vacuum cleaner in to clean the windings on the motor, blow out the motor of any dust, hoover up all the dust in the bottom of the machine. It is worth doing it. You've got to remember there is legislation and we are on day 30 nearly, and our petition to the government to stop boycotting vented and heat pump tumbled wires has still not been approved. This world is as corrupt as you can get it, because this year the government is meant to be putting a ban on vented and condenser tumbled wires. We created a petition with someone that did all the work, and the bare minimum signatures was 20 or 40 that we had to get for it to go into government and get this petition approved. It has now been with the government for nearly 30 days and we've had no response whatsoever. It stinks. That's all I can say. This industry is as corrupt as you can imagine. Here in Ireland, for example, you can't buy a vented or condenser tumbled wire anymore. You can only buy old stock. All the new stuff that comes into the country is heat pump tumbled wires. And trust me, everyone is going to be screaming blue murder in 3-4 years' time when they all start failing. So yes, it is an easy fix, mate. I think it'll either be a 7, 8 or 9 microfarad capacitor. And the problem being Hoover do not usually sell the capacitor separate to the motor. You have to buy a universal capacitor, which is the same capacitor that you had on the machine. But the problem being is you're going to need to understand what size the capacitor is. Written on the side of the capacitor will be something like 9UF. That stands for microfarad, and that's the size that you need to replace it with. But there are many, and you will need to use, you might be able to find it using your full model number, but you've only given us the first part of the model number. There's normally a dash and then 2 numbers following. You'll find this on your ID label. But Nick, if you need any help with this whatsoever, as I keep saying to people, go to the website, fill out the details. I'm quite happy to give you a call on it, and I could be able to send you the links to the correct videos to watch. Okay, hope that helps you, mate. We should have the capacitor in stock anyway. Let me get a drink. Just bear with me 1 second. Orange or lemonade? Orange. That just came out of the fridge. I can't believe the weather here. It's absolutely brilliant. Sorry I'm not using a glass, but when you're in a camper van, washing up is washing up. And I only carry 300 litres of water. So, and that's got to last me 3-4 more days yet. And I'll need a shower tomorrow. Like this, how did YouTube plaque arrive? Tell us. Well, basically what happens is when you get to 100,000 subscribers, YouTube sends you an email and ask you to fill out everything. And then a couple of weeks later, they sent that. And it took me, at one point, and I will tell you the story, you get to 58 and you're at 60,000 subscribers and you think, oh, my lifetime achievement, if I could get to 100,000. And, I was thinking that was going to be my lifetime achievement. And I did a couple of videos that really took off. And suddenly the channel started gaining serious momentum. And bang, I got 100,000. And then that came, and I was really chuffed to beans. And then within 6 to 12 months, I had another 100,000. Another 6 months later, I had another 100,000. So, now I've set the benchmark at the gold version of that, which they send you out when you get to 1 million subscribers. But I think I'm really setting my mark a little bit too high. I can't see me ever getting there myself. I'm 60 now. To get to 1 million subscribers would take some great videos, which I have done. Some have got recognition, some haven't. I just keep doing the content, mate. It's a privilege to do the content for you. And it's a privilege, especially on this stream that I do, knowing where all these people come from. We've had, over the last, I have been streaming now for nearly 30 days. And I've done it because I'm not making video content for you. So I thought, right, let's record the whole of the trip, the journey, meeting Tom, meeting Barry, meeting the guy in Derry, and I've forgotten his name, sorry, and meeting other people along the way and making videos as well. But it's been very interesting to understand where all the audience comes from. We had a great guy from Argentina the other day. I've had people that walk up to me in the street here in Ireland because they've seen the Irish videos that I've produced. I've had a police officer that came over, and basically I was going, oh, what's wrong with the van? Or did he spot me speeding or something? And he comes over and literally just had a chat with me. That's all he wanted. Wanted to know, what else I do apart from washing machines and cookers. He'd watched many videos. I had a young lad in Achill Island the other day, and in one of the most broad Irish accents, he screamed out of his car when I was pulled over in a built-up area with loads of people, and he said, love your channel. Keep up the good work. I was just chuffed to bits. It's nice to be able to help people on occasions and do things for the right reasons. So anyway, thanks for that, mate. And that's how I got the plaque. May the gold one arrive one day. What's the difference between drain pump and gravity drain? Right, gravity drain pump is what is usually used on commercial machines. And these are magnetic pumps. They're not actually a pump. They are a sluice gate. So I've got nothing really I can describe. Imagine a hole, which is about, let me bring my hands onto the screen, about 1.5 to 2 inches. This is inside going through a pump with a slider. And basically when the hole is shut, the flap is down. And when the magnets are engaged, it lifts it up and lets the water gravity feed out of the machine. There is no mechanical parts apart from a slider which goes up and down. The only downfall with those is when I've had laundries and everything, you had to keep an eye out on the machines for how much water they were using, because sometimes you'd notice that a machine was using a heck of a lot of water and it was constantly filling all the time. And this is because something like a bra wire or a small bit of fiber or piece of plastic goes down through the sluice pump, but then lodges or rests in that piece there. So when the flap comes down, it can't shut the pump completely. And that used to be a problem with commercial laundries. And that's why all my machines in commercial laundries used to have, I used to have all the data going through to my computer in the office and running 24 hours a day. And this was, I wanted to make sure every machine, I knew off the top of my head that an 8 kilo commercial washer would use 62 litres of water. I knew that the Ipso 35 kilo would use 100 litres of water and X amount of energy as well. So just by looking at the chart every day, just for 2 seconds, yeah, just literally look at the printout on the chart, I knew that the laundry was running efficiently. I knew that the water was coming in from the solar water tanks, because I had a solar water heating system to heat all the water on the roof, with an electrical system for backup for when it was cloudy days. And I also, water was very expensive in commercial laundries, because once you go over a certain volumetric, you get charged different rates by the government and water providers. So water is a really important factor when it comes to laundry equipment. So making sure that those gravity drain pumps, or gravity sluice pumps, were working correctly was a very important thing. Otherwise, you could be using 500 litres water extra per day. So it was very important for this side. So, when you have multiple machines being used in a commercial property, you really want to put systems in place which suggests there may be a problem with the machine. So preemptive maintenance is able to be done on a regular basis. I hope that helps you. Next one. Where's Wally? Where is Wally? Whirlpool. Good afternoon to you first. Whirlpool made one of them tilted tank versions. Yes, well, Whirlpool did them. Speed Queen did them. I believe Maytag did them as well. You have to think of it logically. Something round. I've got nothing round here. If you consider the drum is completely horizontal, all the weight is on the bearings and spider. If you turn that to a slight angle, you are now putting the weight on a downward angle, which is reducing the amount of force going onto the bearing and onto the shaft. Therefore, it will last much longer. And it was a very good idea. A lot of manufacturers did that for a certain period of time, and that's before the days of obsolescence stepped in. When it came to the Ipsos and stuff like that, they just had huge bearing systems, huge shafts. So they didn't really need to worry about stuff like that. But on the Speed Queens, I think the Speed Queens were 10 to 15 kilo loads. And it was a way that they didn't have to overbuild the machine, but they built longevity into the machine with a clever design feature. And it was a very good system. Next one. I like Where's Wally. Good name. Glyn Rogers, good afternoon to you. Hi, what cheap washing machine do you reckon? If you want cheap and cheerful, and you're going to go against what I'm preaching, which is I would only buy anything with a 5-year guarantee now. It's the only way we're going to change this industry. I would buy the Beko machines, because they're not bad machines. For the money, and when they go wrong, at least Beko supply technical information, if you know where to get it from, to assist you in doing the repairs. They do very good workshop manuals. They do very good wiring diagrams. And Beko, as it is at the moment, and I'm saying as it is at the moment because they've just acquired Whirlpool within the last 12 months, which owns Hotpoint Indeset, they may start producing junk. I have no idea. But the machines that have been built from 2015 up until today's date have been pretty good machines, really, for the money. So I hope that helps you. That's what I would do. Excuse me. No idea how to pronounce that, but I'll call you 07. Good afternoon. I do house removals, and I'm shocked at how many washing machines by design have no way of the man lifting the bottom end with only the adjustable legs to hold. Yeah, I can understand. You see, you're doing it on a daily basis, mate. And when you do it on a daily basis, the guys that deliver the washing machines have got normally a two-man team, same as you, as removing houses and clearing furniture and other bits and pieces. There are certain sack trucks which are really better than others, but then you're going to be talking about the stairs and everything. There are three-wheel sack trucks that climb stairs. And it's one of those, it really does cut into your fingers. And some models are better than other models, and I'm trying to think, have you've lifted dishwashers before, so you know how sharp the edges are. You just going to have very good gloves with the rubber on the gloves that protect your fingers, but it does cut into your fingers. I've done it for many years, and I know the problems you're having. And on most of the occasions, I had to deliver machines up 2 flights of stairs on my own because I couldn't afford to pay a guy just to come out, or I'd sweet talk the customer's neighbour into giving me a hand. It's not an easy job lifting washing machines. They are, just imagine you've done some melees, mate. I bet you know what that feels like. Okay? I bet you say, give me an Indeset or Hot Point any day of the week. You want to deliver a heavy machine? Pick a 1990 to 2010 melee up. You'll know about it. Okay, next one. Likes his clean clothes. Why do melee make washers complicated to repair? They don't really. If you had a broken pump, for example, you have to strip. Not really. Most of the melee, when they were building things, the engineers were building stuff, not the accountants, which is happening now in melee. They used to have a very nice system where the whole front of the machine was on a hinge, and it was reasonably accessible. I don't find melees that hard to work on. It's knowing how to access everything, and that's the most difficult part. The melee backs of the machines came off, the front hinged. I haven't worked on their latest machines, but I've seen the machines in the IFA show in Berlin and had a close, because they've had some machines open, and I've had a look at some of the stuff there. But of course, when they were showing the machines there, they were only showing the machines with the splittable drums. They didn't show the machines that had the plastic shit that they put in it now. So, yeah. But I don't have a problem with melee. They're just well built. You just need to know how to access them properly. Next one. Jack Wright, V3T. Good afternoon to you. I have a Samsung Eco Bubble washing machine. Bleep halfway through the cycle. Makes strange noise when it spin and drain. Wait a second. During cycle, makes a strange noise when it spin and drain. It sounds okay. Jack, I need a little bit more information on this. The Samsung Eco Bubbles have been reasonable machines, but I am aware that the spiders have corroded on many occasions. It's one of the most popular emails that I get with regards machines having to be written off because the drum fails, and their spiders are corroding quicker than other companies' machines for some unknown reason. When it comes to halfway through the cycle, I can't diagnose that just with that information. Makes a strange noise. Well, halfway through the cycle, it's going into the rinse program. So it might be where the drum starts to do spins that you're getting the strange noise. And it could be a spider or bearing problem just starting, but without having more. Look, Jack, I say this to everyone, and everyone comes up every day with these questions. Jump in front of the machine when it's got a fault, turn your camera to video and record it, and have a conversation with me as if I was standing next to you. Upload that to your YouTube account, send me the link. I'll quite happily have a look. All I need is the make, model, preferably your telephone number so I can ring you on WhatsApp if I need to look at anything else, and send me the video. That's what I'm here for, mate. Okay? Hope that helps you, Jack. Next one. Where's Wally? Buy paper plates and plastic cutlery. No, that's preaching one thing and being environmentally unfriendly, and I wouldn't do that. I have melamine plates, and my sink at the moment is full. And the reason why my sink is full and I haven't done the washing up is because I haven't had need for a shower today, because I had one yesterday. So I will just keep piling the plates in the sink until I run out, or I need a shower. And when I have a shower, I turn the central heating system on in the van, and then I have hot water. So you have to live slightly differently when you're in a van, but I do understand what you're saying. And tonight's one of those nights, because I'm going to be going up to the next pub in a minute. Not because I want to go to a pub, it's because that car park down the beach is full to the brim. I've spotted a nice camping spot up the road in a village that has a pub next door, and they do food. And they do food till 9 o'clock. So I need to keep an eye on the clock because I want to be parked up and clean and everything before I go in there. And I'm just going to have dinner in there tonight. So it's a nice cheap pub. I looked at the menu, and there's parking just down the road. So you have to be slightly different when it comes to the way you live when you're in a camper van. And remember, I'm a bloke. I don't have the girlfriend to do all the sort of stuff that while I do the other stuff, if you know what I mean. When you're on your Todd and you have to do everything yourself, some days you're just too tired to get around to doing it. Anyway, buy paper plates and plastic cutlery, and just put your paper plate and food on top of it while getting the camper and throw out. No, I really wouldn't do that. Yes, I can understand your point of view, but it's not my nature. I can't preach one thing and do another. And that's a throwaway society. All this garbage, all this, it's all got to be disposed of correctly. And living like that is not my cup of tea. So thanks for the idea. Much appreciated. Next one. Oh, and by the way, I smoke, mate. Previous guy. I smoke, and when I finish a cigarette, I don't throw the butts away. I put them in my back pocket and empty out once a day, once if I'm walking or something. That's the level I go to. You go to some of these beaches in hot countries and you just look at the amount of rubbish that is on the beach. And, it's a disgrace. I mean, Morocco was a real eye-opener, because the Atlantic coast of Morocco was from the Mediterranean going down as far as Casablanca. I have never, ever seen any country in my life with so much plastic bottles just littered everywhere. Then you go down below Casablanca and it gets a little bit better. But if you come up to the rich side of Morocco, which is the Mediterranean side, where the king has all his marinas and smear and everything, there's people picking up rubbish every 50 foot. It's just, they haven't educated the people in the country, and, the infrastructure's not there to take care, and why add to it? So I'm not willing to be one that adds to the problem. I've got 2 bin bags here at the moment, full to the brim of rubbish, and I haven't found anywhere here in Ireland to get rid of this yet. This stuff is only a couple of days old, but I normally have to go into a paid campsite to get rid of the rubbish because it is quite difficult over here. There's not bins everywhere. Anyway, sorry about that. I was rambling on. I do house removals. Why don't manufacturers leave us a little? If they did logical things, it's like an extra 2p in design. And I said this to someone the other day. If you consider a good thing that a manufacturer could change, costs £1, okay? That washing machine, before it gets to the general public, will most probably go through 9 businesses. When I say 9 businesses, you've got the manufacturer distributing to the country wholesaler. The country wholesaler will then distribute it to the independent region wholesaler. The independent retailer may even be selling to distributors who then sell it to shops, and shops sell it to you. Basically, you get the understanding. All of those people will be putting a markup on a product. So what costs a manufacturer £1, by the time it gets to the end user, could be an increase of £30. Just gives you an idea. And it's a little bit crazy, but that's the way the world is. I have seen cookers, for example. Now, if you look at cookers, because of the sharp edges, when I talk about built-in appliances, normally single ovens and double ovens will have a carrying point on each side. And that's, they've done that with them, but they haven't thought about doing it with washing machines. Most people who deliver washing machines and dishwashers are usually only installing them on ground level, and they use sack trucks. But that's I do realize that you have to go sometimes to an apartment block that doesn't have a lift, and that is a bloody nightmare. And my heart goes out to you doing it on a daily basis, mate. I know what you go through. Okay, next one. Jack Wright, got a Samsung washing machine, Eco Bubble, and keep beeping once through a cycle, and it makes a strange noise, but when on spin, sounds okay. So when on spin, it sounds okay. Low water pressure could be the problem. It's not filling in the allocated period of time. It's not emptying in the allocated period of time. There's a couple of faults it could be. As I said, Jack, if you really want me to address this, it's best I have the model number and we go through it off show, because then I've got more time to focus on looking up stuff for you on the computer and other bits and pieces. But if it's only on the rinse cycles that's taking place, imbalance load, not filling an allocated period of time, not emptying an allocated period of time, those are just 3 off the top of my head. Okay, next one, mate. Maytag is Whirlpool, I think. Was Whirlpool. The American market, you see, Whirlpool now has sold out to Beko, but that's the European division of Whirlpool that sold out to Beko. The American version is still Whirlpool. I hope I explained myself correctly there. It is, I think Whirlpool sold 80% of their holdings in the European Whirlpool market. But the American market is nothing to do with that. So it is different. And Maytag is the American side. Pedro Jamie O'Brien, good afternoon to you. My hot point, TV HM80C, bearing is rusted. Bearing is rusted. Let me just check on this one a second. Let me go down here. Was that from YouTube? Yes, it was. So I can copy the model number. When you say rusted, I just need to see which machine this is. Just bear with me 1 second. Yeah, it's what I thought it is. Jamie, it's not rust, mate. Let me explain what it is. I don't know if you prefer Pedro or Jamie. If you look in the chat now, I have just popped a link through to the website, and it's on 6:25 p.m. timeline. That is the pear-shaped bearing, which is included with the shaft, or not included. It is part of the bearing assembly on the back of the machine. If you are getting black dust off that area, it may have got, that bearing may have worn through, and the shaft is now cutting into the cabinet, and that means you should have replaced it a year ago. It's not a problem, because even though it may have cut into the cabinet, by replacing the bearing you are going to be solving the problem. The other problem that may have occurred, and if I go back a second, is the spider. And I don't know if we've got this on the website. There used to be a spider kit, but we may have the spider kit. The spider is the size of a small plate, and it has a metal shaft coming out of it. What happens if you leave it too late and don't replace that bearing? The steel from the cabinet will be cutting into the shaft, and it will damage the shaft, and it might need replacing depending on the damage. But replacing that bearing is a very important thing with these tumble dryers, because predominantly these machines, top of my head, it's an 1869 pH belt, meaning it has 9 ribs, 1860 millimeters long, and that is called a stretched belt. That stretch belt puts a lot of tension on the back bearing shaft, and this is why, really speaking, anyone that's got one of these Hot Point or Interset tumble dryers needs to be looking at that bearing every 3 years, and minimum changing that bearing every 3 to 5 years, and also replacing the front felt pads. There's usually 4 or 5 plastic pads, which are wearing pads, at the front of the machine. And the reason these things wear, that bearing is made out of a phosphorus bronze, and it's like, with a steel shaft going through it, and it's phosphorus bronze, it's like a lubricant. It's the easiest way of describing it. And that bearing, people pack a lot of grease on these bearings, and they shouldn't, because the grease attracts dust, and the dust that's in the machine then builds up in the grease, and it acts like a grinding paste and wears the shaft even quicker. Again, with all these tumble dryers, every couple of years, vacuum the machine out. It is worth it. It will stop so much wear and tear going on. But replacing that bearing will pretty much rectify that problem, as long as the shaft is in good condition. We have a load of videos on the website with regards Hot Point Interset tumble dryers. Just look for Hot Point Interset and to do with the bearings. So it'll either be noisy drum bearing or replace drum bearing, but I've done many videos on these to assist you and explain how the machine comes apart as well, just in case you want to take the drum out and give it a really good hoover. Okay. Right, I'm just going to light this Rolly I've got here. My cigarettes are not here, they're in the front. I've been here an hour and a half, so I smoke. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. Why do delivery people for washers use wheels instead of a dolly? Wheels. I'm not too sure what you're either meaning with a dolly. I've heard that expression used for a sack truck. I call them sack trucks. Sack trucks normally have rubber wheels on them. Some are inflated tires as well. And the ones I always buy, by the way, are the yellow and blue ones that they sell on Amazon wheels, because there's no air in the tires. There's nothing worse than having a sack truck when you've got a flat blooming tire and it's always going flat. But I'm not too sure what you're meaning with that. A dolly. Oh, wait a second. Are you meaning a piece of wood that you stick the machine on top and then wheel it, and it's got 4 wheels on? If that's the case, I have seen people doing that. It's every man down to his own trade. I mean, Tom down in County Clare was delivering washing machines and he never strapped them in the back. And he's driving round windy roads. But the machine never fell over. It all depends on the way that you transport stuff and handle stuff. Everyone does things differently. Next one. Do you like the Miele W2 washer? I can't remember which is the W2 now off the top of my head. I do like the new. Oh yeah, I have seen those drum paddles. Ludicrous idea, but you know they go through testing, and the clothes are coming out exceedingly clean. Yeah, I mean the typical drum paddle has been there for the last 50 years, more than that, 60 years. I can't see why it would change. I think it might be a company greenwashing. I can see no evidence that it does anything any better than other machines. Too small to tumble clothes. Yeah, I agree with you. I just do not understand why they've gone down that route, and I haven't seen any articles explaining why they've gone down that route. Maybe it's less wear and tear on the clothing, but does it wash as efficiently? I have no idea. I haven't seen any scientific proof on this yet, so I'll wait until I find an article on it eventually. Okay, next one. Right, I'm Jamil. This seems like a never-ending affair. Can we put a cap on this now? Any questions after 6:31? That's it. Okay. So anyone that asks anything after 6:31, will have to wait for another day. Likes his clean clothes. Why can't companies use anodized drum spider? Yeah, damn good question. I would love to meet a metallurgist who I would then give some old spiders that are in my workshop, which are brand new for Electrolux and also Bosch, which I have in my workshop. And I would like to give them the new ones that are made today from Samsung and other companies. And I would love to see if they could analyze the metal to tell me what the composition is in the difference. Or is it because aluminium is the weakest metal in the washing machine when it comes to the galvanic scale? For those of you who don't know, galvanic scale is the corrosion that takes place on metal due to basically an electrical field that creates within the water. Why boats sink in harbours are because the seacocks on the boats corrode over a period of time, and the voltage that is created in the marina itself by so many boats with modern electrics basically acts like, really speaking, it's nearly a battery, a huge, great big battery, because you have electrical fields. Now, in the washing machine drum, the water is in the bottom of the machine. And if we look at a water tank, for example, that is in your airing cupboard, or a heated water tank that is a solar water tank on top of a property abroad, they all have anodes fitted. Now, anodes are the weakest link on the galvanic scale. And this is why you replace anodes on a regular basis. Because if you replace the anodes on a regular basis, the other metals in that cylinder do not corrode. And this is what anodes are for, is to stop the electrolysis taking place. With washing machines, they don't have anodes. So the aluminium is the weakest metal in the machine. You have steel, you have possibly enameled steel, but the aluminium is the weakest on the galvanic scale, and this is why aluminium spiders corrode. So I hope that answers your question for you. Stainless steel ones, by the way, are a question I still do not understand why anyone has not been building stainless steel spiders. What do you think about the washer dryer combos? Not a lot. If you've got the space, have a washing machine and have a dryer. You'll appreciate it long term. Washer dryer, You can take the load out of the washer that finishes in an hour, put it into the tumble dryer, and the tumble dryer is going to finish an hour. So you're able to do 2 loads every 2 hours. The washer dryer will only be able to do 1 load in the same period of time, if not longer, because a washer dryer does not dry anywhere near as efficiently as a dryer does. But it would dry as efficiently as a heat pump tumble dryer, which takes for bloody ever anyway. So I would have separate. If you've got to have them because you're in an apartment or something like that, then yes, you've got to have one. But maintenance is very important to make sure all the ducting, the condenser plate, and everything else is well maintained. So I hope that answers your question. Jamie again, how do you replace the drum shaft of the hot point? Right, you have to take the drum out. It will either be a riveted kit or it will be a bolted kit. There are a couple of videos on the site. By all means, send me an email in. I would have to look, and I can't do that on the show. I quickly looked up for the bearing, but they're not expensive. There is a kit available where you can actually. I have drilled them out, the pot riveted ones, and I've put bolts in which come with the kit, or you can replace the ones that are already bolted straight off. It's not a difficult job, mate. So by all means, send me an email in and I'll find everything you need on the website. Mr. Hurlmaster, sorry. Hi, Paul. I've got a Hoover condenser tumble dryer, VHC, good machine, 681B. It's very squeaky from the outset. Bearing related, possibly. Right. On those Hoover machines, there are 2 wheels on the front of the cabinet at the bottom. And these are basically support wheels for the drum. It is quite common for fluff to build up on the wheel, and that causes a noise like, I'm really bad at imitations, du-du-dum, 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 as the drum is rotating. The other squeaky noise that you may have is coming from the belt tensioning unit, which is called a pulley wheel. The pulley wheel can dry out and cause squeaking noises. You can also end up with dry bearings on the motor, or the belt is slightly out of alignment. There is also a back bearing as well. The noise will be coming from one of these areas. They are good machines. And they were one of the cheapest tumble dryers that were out there. But they're quite a well-built machine. Bit of a nightmare to work on because nearly every job on the machine means that you've got to take the drum out of the machine. But when you get to the point of doing it, if you use that model number, and I will do this for you now, we might not have everything listed because this is an old machine. But I'm enjoying using Jamil's work at the moment to sort of have a hunt round how the search is working. And of course, Jamil, you haven't created the landing pages for the search yet, so I can't pass them the link. But use your model number without the space. Put it into the website. You'll find a full list of parts. We've got quite a few parts for this machine. We've got the fan blades. We've got the back bearing, which is 12 quid. We haven't got the... I can't see the jockey wheel, and I can't see the 2 front support wheels. But the 2 front support wheels do not normally need replacing. They just need cleaning up. So it's not a difficult job, mate. And I've done a few videos on these as well. You've changed the belt twice. I don't know how much you use it, mate. This machine, in my opinion, with that model number, is 14 years old, at a guess. Yeah, 10 to 14 years old minimum. Changing 2 belts that cost you, the cost of the belts 14 quid. And that's our price, and we're not the cheapest. We believe in selling things at a fair price. We've got to make a living. You can get these belts cheaper elsewhere, but we only sell the quality ones. Twice in that period of time, that's not bad going, mate. And if you're in the UK, Mr. Hurlmaster, you know how much wet weather we have. So think of how many loads you're doing per year, times that by the amount of years. You wait till you have to buy one of these heat pump tumble dryers, mate. You'll be begging for that machine back. So maintain it and keep it in good condition. Okay, next one.
Paul, there's a few more questions, but that was the last from your cutout time point, so it's up
Look,
to you.
are you? If there's only a couple more, we'll dig into them. If you're okay on time as well.
Yeah, we can dig a couple more if you want.
Okay, take a couple more and then that's it.
Okay.
Well, bring them up. Lucasimo, I think that's the way you pronounce it. I have a Whirlpool Pro 061411 washing machine. Had it since 2004. Incredibly reliable and built like a tank. Yeah. Well, and look, manufacturers started to change things really in the last 10 years. And really, when I say change things, they have all sat down round a table and decided, how can we rip the general public off more and more to guarantee we are selling more and more? And it's ludicrous. And none of our politicians are stepping in. I've said this, I must be like a scratched bloody record to you lot. But unless I get it into your skulls, we've got to stand by each other and stop these manufacturers building the shit that they're building today. It is totally and utterly wrong. They are ripping. And the younger generation, if you talk to the younger generation and you said, how long do you think a washing machine lasts? Some of them are responding, 3-4 years. I mean, it's ludicrous. How are they ever going to get ahead in life when they're having to replace shit every couple of years? Anyway, end of my rabbit. I have dealt with that one. Philip Walsh. Philip Walsh. I knew a Mr. Walsh once from Chepstow. What do you think about the Fisher Parkle auto dose machines? I hate auto dose systems. Think of it logically. They are in a warm environment in your kitchen or utility room. You are filling them with a liquid, which is quite a thick liquid. As evaporation takes place over periods of time inside the pipework and other bits, because the machine is not running 24 hours a day, you put it on one day, you may use it twice in one day and then not use it for 2-3 days. Over a period of time, this liquid will dry out and start to build up with a hardness on the pipes and mechanical items. This then will restrict the flow of liquids being able to reach the machine, and eventually they will cause errors. The more complicated you make shit, the more unreliable it is going to become. If you had a washing machine with no auto-dosing system whatsoever, but you wanted to be environmentally friendly with the amount of detergent and save yourself money, it would only take you half a dozen washes before you knew exactly how much powder to put in that cup to put into the soap drawer. Things like self-dosing systems are just sheer and utter laziness, not deliberately on your side. It is manufacturers greenwashing, saying that it's going to save you X amount of powder each year or X amount of detergent each year, and it's going to be more environmentally friendly, to brainwash you into buying more complicated shit that goes wrong quicker. Keep it simple. Keep it reliable. End of subject. Thank you, Phil. Tommy 083. I have a German LCD screen, 1600 Bico LWB series, What do you think about it? They were good machines. I had no problems. I didn't like the 1600 spin speed. I think you are just prolonging, you are building obsolescence into the machine because the drum bearings are going to wear out quicker. It doesn't come, really speaking, 1,000 spin to 1,200 maximum is all you need. 1,600 is overkill, exactly the same as the Hoover machines that did 1,600 as well. Not a great idea. I would prefer the 1,000 or 1,200 spin Bicos. I like Bico machines because the companies gives us technical information. What I don't like about Bico is they've started at the same time as all the other European manufacturers. They all went to dinner in a secret party, shook each other's hands, and said, "We're going to build sealed washing machine drums, and we're going to build expensive circuit boards to build obsolescence into these machines." They are crooked as you can get. So, hope that answers your question. VL9665, good afternoon to you. Hi, Paul. Great to see you. Have an issue with my issue. I have an issue. Half of my 2022 LG front-loading washing machine dryer screen pixels have gone blank. That sounds either like the screen itself or the drive board. Is there a component on the board that knows? It might actually. The LCD itself may be a plug-in block. But the problem with LG and Samsung machines, they encapsulate the circuit boards. It's a bit of a pain in the arse job that you've got here. Again, use your full model number. You have the fault. You're aware of the fault, but you can manage for a bit, I hope. If you can manage for a bit, we haven't got one of these, and I haven't got your model number to hand. Put your full model number in to eBay and Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree, and even our website. But on eBay and Facebook, if you're logged in with your account, there is a button there that says Save Search. And if you put in a few different searches, let's put in your model number, followed by the word PCB, followed by the word program. So 2 separate searches, and then just put your model number, LG washing machine. And that would automatically email you when anything comes up under those search parameters. And something may appear over the next few weeks, which could be a whole machine for £20 with knackered bearings or blown motor or blown heating system. And then you could rob Charlie to make Peter better. That will save you a fortune. If you've got to replace the whole circuit board, which I suspect you have to, then you've got a problem that the whole circuit board is going to cost you new about £150 to £200. I'm sorry to tell you that, but there is no way of actually accessing that, I don't think, on those LG machines, because the circuit board is encapsulated in silicon because the manufacturer was trying to keep it protected from the damp, or they were trying to stop people like me repairing them. So it's one or the other. But no, you've got a problem there. But if you can manage with it, you will find another replacement for it at an affordable price. You must remember there's a lot of engineers out there who have what they call van stock. And after a certain period of time, that van stock is not being used because it has been surpassed by new stock, new parts. And occasionally engineers will sell off their stuff, van stock, through things like eBay and so on. This is how they make their perks and make a little bit of extra money. And nothing wrong with that at all. They need it in this industry. So next one. Hope that helps you. Thanks, VL. Craig B2P3N. Hi, what are Midea washing machines? What are Midea washing machines like? Shit. They are good, cheap brand. Midea is one of the largest manufacturers in the world. I have seen their unbranded stuff coming into Amazon and eBay under private company names which is Midia-made tumble dryers, Midia-made cookers, and I don't even know how they pass CE regulations with their wiring. I have seen some of these machines have twisted wiring clamps, meaning that all the lives are put together and they've got a twist connection to hold them together. But some top-end Midia machines have been quite well built. It all depends. I don't think much of the company. I'm sorry. I think it's another conglomerate. It's a Chinese conglomerate, and the shit I've seen them build is not that good. Maybe they will start producing something decent. We don't know. But at the moment, I wouldn't touch them with a barge pole. That's my honest opinion. And that's my opinion, just in case they're listening and they want to sue my ass. Lucas Casio LCD washing machines missing pixels could potentially be sorted by carefully using a heat. Yeah, but the problem being is, thanks very much for participating, and I do appreciate it. The LG circuit boards are predominantly filled with a silicon. It's a liquid silicon. After the circuit board's made, they fill the whole back of the printed circuit board with a silicon, and you can't get at any of these components. So you couldn't get to the back of the PCB display to even check for any dry joints on the connections. Unless it's got a separate circuit board to the main circuit board, you're buggered because they are encapsulated. So thanks very much for jumping in there. You are right, but not on that board. I see Midia only in Germany with a full website, with a full web slide of its own assembly in Eastern Europe. Yeah, well, look, there's all sorts of stuff going on now because shipping washing machines all the way from the far side of the world is ludicrous. You only get 120 washing machines in a container. So there has been lots of foreign-made machines being assembled in Poland, Germany, Spain, and many other countries. Even some of the Bosches now are made in Poland and Spain and other places as well. What these conglomerates do is take Bosch, for example, is a German brand. Rather than keeping it a German-built machine with precision engineering like they used to, they've subbed all the work out to the cheapest person that will come to the table. I mean, Hotpoint, for example, at one point had some dishwashers made, I think it was in Spain, and they used the wrong grade of stainless steel, and the dishwasher was corroding from the inside out. It was ludicrous, but it's building stuff cheaply. That's all they care about. Quality has disappeared, and we need some companies to come back to the table, even if they're charging more than the other companies, putting a minimum of 5-year warranty and good quality machine with all the backing of the workshop manuals, diagrams, and everything else, and affordable spare parts. When some company does this, they are going to clean up, because there's 70 million people that watched my channel. So, that's the potential marketplace. Just think of all the people around the world that are willing. I have had so many people trying to get me to go into building my own washing machine. I'm 60. I'm not interested in it anymore. If I was a young man, yes, but I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have today if I was a young man. So it's half a dozen of one and a dozen of the other, as they say. Anyway, move on. Can we knock it on the head? Good on you for doing this. It's important work. Yeah, well, look, I'm just trying to help people, mate. And, it doesn't matter what industry you're in today. There are too many people trying to make a quick buck instead of supporting a community. I'm lucky. I'm living the life of Riley. I work when I want to. I play when I want to. But when I'm playing, I'm still helping you lot. At the moment, I have taken 6 weeks coming from Portugal up through Ireland. It's a combination of work and pleasure. Actually, the pleasure is doing the trip, but I have to come here anyway because I have the partners that are here in Ireland, which I need to visit. train up, talk to, and I've been making some great video content for you. And there's some fantastic videos to come, especially with Tom. Okay, extra sale. I predict that the Whirlpool washing machine bearings will last 12 years and 8 months. I predict the Whirlpool washing machine bearings will last 12 years, 8 months. I haven't got time today to ask the question for you to reply because I'm going to knock it on the head shortly. But do reply to me tomorrow. I'll bet my washing machine bearings will go on till 2040, maybe wishful thinking, but I remain confident. Well, if it's, I can't remember if it was the domestic or commercial. If it's a domestic, depends on how many loads you do a day or how many loads you do a week. Because saying a machine is going to last to 2030, you are predicting it's going to last 4 more years. I don't know the age of the machine, and I don't know how many loads you do a day. You could have 15 kids and be doing 9 loads of washing a day. Then I would say it could be 2027. But I don't know unless I know all these numbers. So why did Miele always score A for dryness while the rest was B with energy rating? It's I have no idea. I'm just saying this is my personal belief. 1600 RPM, in my honest opinion, you are drying the clothes to a level with 1600 RPM. They are going into the dryer, therefore taking less energy to actually dry the actual clothing, or they're taking less time to dry on the line or whatever. There was 1800 machines. I think one manufacturer actually came out with higher than that, but there is no need for it, in my honest opinion. 90% of this energy rating and stuff that they do with regards energy efficiency is a load of malarkey. And when I say this, watch in a month's time when I actually have a 1970s washing machine and I am going to put it alongside a 2026 washing machine, and I will be doing lots of videos on this, and I'm going to categorically prove that you are saving between 3 and let's call it 10 cents per load by using a modern machine today compared to a machine that was made in 1970. But then we're also going to look at the life expectancy. And mark my words, these machines are ending up in the landfill within 5 and 7 years. The 1970s made machine will go on for 30 to 40 years. All the energy that you save is lost on your next purchase because you are purchasing machines every 5 to 7 years. This is why Britain alone is categoric proof of this, because we have proof that we consume 3.5 million washing machines per year in Britain and 3.5 million fridge freezers, never mind all the other appliances. So leave it at that. Next one.
Paul, I think we can wrap it up after this one.
Okay, fantastic. That's enough for me. I need dinner. Cheers for your help, matey. I will find a zombie machine for spare parts. Brilliant, mate. You're not only doing yourself a favour, saving yourself money, but you're doing the world a favour by actually starting to act responsibly and salvaging parts to keep other machines going. Mike, I commend you completely, VL. Take care. Right, okay. Any long questions that you have or detailed information, use the website. The contact us page is there specifically designed to help you now, and you are able to even send us your recordings from your phone via your own YouTube channel, and you can actually put the link in and we'll get it, watch the video, and then I can respond to you properly. And if you do want contacting with regards help, I need to know where you're from, in other words, what time zone, and put convenient. If you're from UK, I imagine you're working, so put convenient times to call you. Okay, and I'll be quite happy to give you a call on WhatsApp and have a look at your machine. Take care all. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. And from next week onwards, we are only going to be streaming most probably Monday, Thursdays and Sundays, and occasionally Mondays. But I am doing tomorrow as normal. And the reason for this is the workload running this show every day. It was a great idea when I started it, but the workload is too much for me. And I'm missing out on too many emails to people and not having time, because it all takes time and everything else. And I want to concentrate on making good quality content for you with regards repair videos and everything else. So thanks very much all. See you tomorrow afternoon. Take care. Bye-bye.